Welcome back guys, and today we're going to discuss 21st century literature genres for 21st century literature in the Philippines and of the world. Ako nga pala si Teacher Say, secondary school teacher of Angeles City, senior high school, schools division of Angeles City. So, let's start! So for our topic for today, 21st century literature genres for 21st century literature in the Philippines and of the world. So for today, we're going to discuss literary genres for the 21st century literature genres. So, what literary work do you love to read the most? You may post this video and write their answer in the comment section down below. Why did you choose this literary work? Again, you may post this video and write your answer in the comment section down below. So when we talk about literary genre, a literary genre is an artistic category or style of writing. It allows literary critics and students to classify compositions within the larger canon of literature. So if we talk about genre, like for example, romance, action, it's not just for literary works. These are also applicable for music and movies. Okay, so let's say we talk about tragedy, horror, sci-fi. Those are some literary genres that we can consider, and there are a lot of examples out there. If you would go to online, when you look for different works, like for example in the website wattpad.com, there are a lot of genres that you can choose from. Or if you want, you have different audiobooks, digital books. Okay, you can also buy different books with different genres, hardbound books and softbound books. And when we talk about genre, a genre is derived from the French phrase genre, means kind or type, or genre. Okay, or so you see here the pronunciation, it's not genre, it's genre. Okay, so the first genre that we're going to talk about is poetry. It is said to aspire the compositions of music, hence its rhythmic quality. It employs figurative and symbolic languages that makes it susceptible to different interpretations. Poetry is one of the most basic literary genres that we could look for, because even in early stages of education, poetry are the most widely used examples for reading purposes. Okay, also in recreational purposes. So if you notice it, a poetic work is composed of stanzas. It's the same as a music lyric. That's why they have the same pattern. The difference there is where of course music, a song has a melody, while a poetry doesn't have. Okay, and also poetry uses a figurative and symbolic language. They don't simply, the author don't simply say the idea directly, but using different symbols, different ideas to portray or to give the message. That's why there are different interpretations for each poetic work. We have drama next. Drama is a text which has been written with the intention of being performed for an audience. Dramas range from plays to improvisations on stage. Its two main types are tragedy and comedy. Okay, dramas are the ones that you watch in theaters. Okay, some are derived from books, others are written for a script. Okay, so for example is Man of La Mancha, okay, by Don Quixote. Don Quixote was the main author. Okay, the main character. Okay, the Man of La Mancha was a play, the first play that AUF Theater Group performed. Okay, I watched it many times, and it has a very interesting story. Okay, for comedy we have I'm not really sure about this one. If I watch some of this, most of the dramas that I watch in a theater is mostly drama. Like for example, Cats. Cats is a story about different types of cats. Okay, it's a Broadway musical. Okay, another is Midsummer Night's Dream, another tragedy. Okay, so there are a lot of kinds of dramas. You can just watch them in theaters or just read them with books. Non-fiction prose. Prose is a form of language that has no formal metrical structure. It applies a natural flow of speech and an ordinary grammatical structure rather than rhythmic structure. Non-fiction prose refers to a literary work that is based mainly on facts. This includes autobiography, biography, character sketch, diary or journal, editorial, and essay. So there are two kinds, fiction and non-fiction. Okay? When we talk about non-fiction prose, it talks about facts. It talks about reality. Okay? So everything that is within a non-fiction prose are real. So for example, autobiographies, biographies, I mentioned them already early on. Okay? So if you will create a read or create a non-fiction prose, it should be based on different facts. You don't need to create your own. And of course, we have a fiction prose or prose fiction. It's a literary work that is wholly or partly imagined or theoretical. Example of this are myths, legends, parables, fables, fairy tales, short stories, novels, and novellas. Okay? So here, instead of having facts, when we talk about fiction, it's the creation of the mind. Okay? So it can be true, it can be not. That's why we talk. That's why we mention theoretical. Okay, so it can be proven or not. That's why we have legends, myths, parables, fables, fairy tales. Those are just some. We believe in them, but we cannot prove that they are real. That's why they're under prose fiction. Then we have creative nonfiction. The words creative and nonfiction describe the form. The word creative refers to use of literary craft, the techniques fiction writers, playwrights, and poets employ to present nonfiction, factually accurate prose about real people and events in a compelling, vivid, dramatic manner. So when we talk about creative, of course, you will be using your imagination to create a story, okay? To create a interesting story. But you are using facts about a certain person or groups of people or events. Okay? While a hyper poetry, this genre also called cyber poetry, is a form of digital poetry that uses links using hypertext markup. It refers to works of verse which could not be presented without a computer. Hyper poetry includes verse with links to sub-poems or footnotes, poetry generators. Poetry with movement or images, it is usually highly steeped in the visual and sometimes involves parts that are read in very varying orders. Hyper poetry, basically you use the computer when you're reading it. So there are links, what we call hyperlinks. That's why it's more appropriate to read it in a browser, in a web browser. Okay, so that's why they call it hyper poetry. Next we have blog. Blog is a shortened version of the term weblog. It's an online journal or informational website on the internet. We have a blog and we have a vlog. Okay, blog, basically these are just texts, while vlog are videos. Talk about the two, they have the same use. They are online journals. The difference is how the authors portray themselves. Okay, when we talk about blog with the letter B, that is mainly for text and images, while vlog with the letter V, okay, the author is using video as the medium to present the information. Mobile phone textula. This traces its origin to the traditional Tagalog form of poetry called Tanaga. Okay, so we talk about poetry early on, we just shift it into mobile phones. So instead of a whole verse, we use text messaging or simply using your messenger to send lines to form a poem. Okay, so that's just the difference between poem and mobile phone text to la. Flash fiction. This refers to an imaginative literature of extreme brevity. It could range from a word to 1,000. It is known as microstories, postcard fictions, nano tales, and shorts. According to Sustana, most of the flash fiction have these common characteristics. Okay, so flash fiction, it's just a short story. In the Wattpad community, it's called one shots. Okay, so it's just a story wherein it starts, then build up momentum, climax, and end with just one reading. Okay, and then graphic novel or graphic fiction, a comic book narrative that is equivalent in form and dimension to the prose novel. The pictures are arranged in sequence in image panels and dialogues are written in speech bubbles. The illustrations allow the reader to imagine, experience the characters and events in the story. So instead of just reading the book, you could see graphical representations of the characters, of the location, of the events that is happening on the story. Example of which is the graphic novel for Harry Potter, the whole series. I know there are already graphic novels for this one. Okay, please don't be confused with the next one, which is manga. Manga is also the same as this one because when we talk about graphic novels, please take note of the word comic book narrative. Manga, on the other hand, is also a comic book narrative, but this is in traditional Japanese style. It is usually printed in black and white, but now we could see mangas that are colored. There are many genres inside mangas. For example, we have shoujo for female and shonen for male. Okay, we have different categories also. So there are a manga is a main genre, but under manga there are subgenres also. Okay, right now if you're watching anime, most of the animes that you are watching derive from mangas. So I myself read manga a lot and also watch the anime version, and I compare what is happening between the two. And I enjoy reading manga because it's different from the traditional comic books that we read from Western countries like the USA. Doodle fiction. It's a literary presentation where the author incorporates doodle drawings and handwritten graphics in place of traditional format. Drawings enhances the story, often adding humorous elements that would be missing if the illustrations were omitted. Example of this is the story of the Wimpy Kid, okay, wherein doodles are used as illustrations. So, why do we need to understand the different genres of literature? Again, you may pause this video and write your answer in the comment section down below. How will this knowledge help you in your future career? Again, you may pause this video and write your answer in the comment section down below. So for our next topic, ICT-based adaptation of 21st century and self-peer assessment. So I hope you learned something with the different 21st century literary genres, and we'll see you again next time.